There are so many haircuts today that you hear and see on TikTok, the Hush, the Wolf, there's lots of names, but the foundation for all of those haircuts is the Shag. The same principles apply to all of those haircuts. So if you can learn the Shag, you can do them all. So here's the sectioning. It's basically like your 4 section, but I've sectioned out the bang area and I've also sectioned out below the occipital. A little trick to find your bang area is take the bottom of your middle finger, set it at the hairline, and when you rock your finger back, you're gonna find the point that your bang area begins. I'm gonna take the entire bang section between my middle finger and my pointer finger. I wanna get some nice tension on it and I'm gonna give it a twist. Make sure it's nice and clean so that you end up with an even bang and not something that's all over the place. And then you can adjust the length to wherever you want it. So I'm going to about the tip of the nose, depending on what haircut you want to do or what length of shag or variation that you want to do. You can do the bang shorter, you can do it longer, but I'm just going to stay right here at the tip of the nose for now. The next section I'm going to take are diagonal back sections. And these diagonal back sections, I'm probably going to be able to do this in about 2 slices. And they're just gonna come right from my bang section just to the top of the ear, just where that section ends. So basically all I'm gonna do is connect my bang section into my side. You can determine whatever length that you want. This whole section in the front, that's exactly what you're doing, is you're determining your length guide. And this is going to be the guide for the whole haircut. So I'm just gonna show you quickly what you can do to make it longer. So if you wanna go longer, you just swoop it over, and that's going to give you some over direction, which is going to give you more length. I'm just going to hold it where it is. I am going to take it a little bit shorter through here, but just angle your fingers and just adjust as you go to get the length that you want. Then the trick is always to get the other side the same length. Whenever I'm doing the right hand side, I always over accentuate what I'm doing, because it'll feel like I'm going too far, but I'm not. If you don't pull it far enough, you're gonna end up with that side a little shorter, and you don't want that to happen. Okay, so that is your front completed. It's all done. Always check your work, make sure it's good to go before you take anything else down. So now this last section that I'm taking, I'm just matching it up to what I've already cut. So I'm just gonna pull it all over. I'm just gonna match it up. This is my guide in the front. Find your guide and just cut. Always remember to have good tension, which means that you never cut past your knuckle. Only cut what's between the point of your finger and your first knuckle. There it is, front section all done, easy peasy. Now the back, what you're gonna wanna do is determine what length that you want. So I kinda like the length of my girl in the back, so I think I'm just going to leave it the length that she is. But the length now, that is going to be your guide. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna lift up the hair, and when you lift it up, you're gonna hold it vertically. So completely vertical, straight out. And I wanna match up my length to what I'm going to cut. So that length is going to represent where I need to cut. When you get that center section cut, that now is your guide for this back section. And now you're gonna take either side and you're gonna direct it into the center. Some people may do this, some people may not. I like to direct it into the center because of the shape of the hairline. So because the hairline is going to be a little bit more narrow through there, if I travel with it, I may end up with a hole. So I can always go back at the end and texturize more if I want to, but for now, I like just to over direct everything into the center. So this actually takes out quite a bit of bulk. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way up the head to create a guide right through the center. So if you've watched my uniform haircut, it's basically that, except in reverse. So instead of going from the top to the bottom, I'm going to go from the bottom to the top. And that way I can take my bottom section and make sure it all connects in with what I'm cutting. So at this point with the uniform haircut, you follow the shape of the head. So everything is pulled out at 90 degrees. And I'm just going to work my way up using the piece previous to create that guide. So far I think this is the third guide that we've created. We have one in the front, one at the back perimeter, and now we have an interior guide. And you're going to do this the entire way up the head until you finish off that section. And as you can see, there's a lot of hair coming off because a shag has a lot of layers. So that's the point. We want to create lots and lots of layers in this haircut. There it is. So there is your guide that you're going to use for the rest of the cut. So now what you're going to do is take all of those sections remaining and you're just going to direct them back to that guide. Keep in mind that this haircut would not be good for all hair types. If you are someone that has fine, thin hair, this probably is not a good option, as heavily layered, thin hair will actually make you look bald. You will see your scalp, you will not like this haircut. This haircut is really good if you have really dense hair, you've got really thick hair. This is a good style. I find it works best on naturally wavy hair because it just automatically styles itself. But there are, again, many variations and many different ways to do it. But again, I wouldn't recommend doing this if you have fine, thin hair. So when you release that, you can see all those layers. You see this nice shape. It kind of hugs the head, but then releases. And now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Always make sure to check when you finish your section, because as you're pulling on one side, you're going to be pushing on the other side. And it's really easy to go a little bit longer on the side that you're pushing. And so you just want to make sure that you don't push too far. So when you finish this section, just make sure that you double check before you go on to anything else. And there's the whole back completely done. So it's only been a few minutes and this haircut is just about finished. I did push a little bit more on one side, so I'm just gonna go back and take out that little bit. Okay, final phase. This is really, really easy. Basically the haircut is done. Now we just have to make sure that everything connects so that the front connects to the back and that the sides will connect to the top. So I'm going to take a section coming from the crown area all the way into the bang area, or right into the very front of the bang area. When I pull this up, I am going to have a big point. So this is basically the disconnect that happens between the front and the back. And you're just going to cut it off. Once you cut it off, you're going to bring every section underneath. You're just going to pull it all up, match it up, kind of like the long layer cut. If you haven't seen that one, you can check that one out as well. Pull everything up. So this haircut is kind of a combination of a few of the different foundational haircuts. So if you know some of those foundational haircuts, then you'll be able to do this one. That side's done, and you're going to do the same thing on the other side. I don't know if you've noticed, but my scissors are cutting like butter. I just had them sharpened and they are amazing. If you've ever had scissors long enough that you've had to have them sharpened, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So guys, this is pretty much it. This haircut is basically done. There's only going to be one more thing to connect, or basically just double check to make sure that it connects, is making sure that the side goes into the back okay. There's sometimes might be a little bit of a corner right there. You might want to keep it, you might want to get rid of it, kind of depends. Other than that, that's about it. So depending on the hair texture, density, the style, you might want to go in and do some texturizing. You can use your razor, thinning shears, you can do some slicing. Lots of different variations to this haircut. But as you can see, my babe, she's got some wave in her hair and she pretty much just styles all on her own. So that's it. That is the Shag.